For us, Romania is actually one of the most attractive markets in Europe. Actually, for NexTracker, it's the second biggest market in Europe. So that's the reason that we are here. It's getting more mature very fast, but we think there's a lot of space for owners, especially owners, to learn a lot, to actually be able to get the most out of their financial assets. So that's that's a very important thing about us. For NexTracker, the trackers are a financial asset, and that's something that had taken a long time for the developers around the globe to realize. So there's a lot of improvement space, here in the market.
Do you have some data about the gain in productivity using trackers on the local market? Do you have something to share with interested?
So this is one of the reasons that I'm saying that the potential is very high. We have seen that the real opportunity for owners to have the most power possible with trackers is huge, but there's a lot of, let's say, scared clients or scared developers because they have never dealt with trackers. They think that this is huge, complex thing when actually it's not like that, especially when you work with companies that will guide you through the whole process. And there's some things that are not even taken into account nowadays. So, for example, there's an independent company that have done a study to analyze the gain between fixed and trackers, specifically for Romania. So the average gain is around 20%. But that's only when you talk about production. What's the thing? The more mature that a market gets, I don't know if you have realized that there are two things, curtailment and the cannibalization of prices. So if you have, I wanted to show a slide, but I sent it too late, so I'm sorry. But I'm going to use my hands for this. So if you see the curve of production of fixed and trackers, you will see that during the day, you will start, of course, with less production. It's going to go high, and then it's going to go low. So with fixed, it will be like, let's say, it will have a higher, I forgot how to say pendiente, but it's going to be like dramatically like this, probably. And trackers is going to be like less dramatic, that change. In the middle of the day, the production is going to be very similar. So the biggest gain that you're going to get between trackers and fixed tilt, the extra gain, the biggest is in the early morning and in the afternoon. But the thing is, the price of energy is not the same during the day. So usually the developers are taking into account only the extra production, but not also that the moment that you are getting that extra production with trackers happens in the moment when the energy is a lot more expensive. So you are getting a higher value for that extra gain. So when you combine those two things, what you're actually getting is that the extra gain in Romania, if you are thinking economically wise, it's actually around 28%, not 20%. So there are a lot of things that have to be taken into account, and we're happy to help our clients to do this analysis.
How do you actually validate the actual data in practice after you make the initial evaluation? Do you back up your estimates in the practice at NexTracker in terms of production?
Yes. So there are two things. If we talk particularly about NexTracker, then there's one more thing that you have to take into account. So all the developers are, of course, doing this analysis. They're trying to see how much extra production you're going to get. We can help you with that. We're going to give you the inputs that you need to do that analysis. We can also help you in this process to calculate the extra gain. But also, in our case, I'm going to talk a little bit about NexTracker, like quickly, so you understand this. So we're the #1 supplier in the world. This #1 is not just words, it's validated by reports, third parties, etc. We have been #1 for 10 years. Since last year, we're #1 in Europe. And 8 years ago, we started focusing not only on the tracker itself. Like I was saying, for us, the tracker is a financial asset. You have to make sure that you're looking in the right angle every time in the day, every day in the year. So what we did is that 8 years ago, we bought a company and launched 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒄𝒄. There is a software of our own development that what it's doing is optimizing always the gain of your project. And we do this with 2 things: diffuse radiation and the shading of each tracker. So I don't know if everybody is familiarized about backtracking. So a very quick way of explaining is that you have all the trackers with a determined distance, and depending on the time of the day, in the early morning and in the afternoon, some trackers are going to be shading the other tracker if you are not taking this into account in the algorithm. So that's called backtracking. Actually, our CEO and our president of the company, they were the ones that wrote the backtracking algorithm. So even before founding NexTracker. So what's the thing? Most of the tracker suppliers, they're focusing a lot about, when you talk about this backtracking, they're focusing about just avoid shading. And that's not the only thing that you should be talking about. Because, for example, if you have split set modules, it's also important to decide what do you need. Do you need to avoid the shade in the whole module, or is it better if you avoid it only in 1/2 of the module? I don't want to give details because this is better doing it one-on-one. But also, there's the thing that there are some projects, a lot of them, that have slopes in the terrain. That means that you have different heights between the angles. The implication of this is that the shading is not as easy to calculate. So what we do is that we have a full division inside the company that the only thing that they do is think about the optimization of the production. Okay, so we have found a way of optimizing this for your exact project, for every day, and actually this is done in such an efficient way that there are several third-party reports that validate this. So I can tell you about, I don't know, 20% more gain between trackers, but also you can get, it will depend of the project, but you can get until more 4% production using our 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒄 software. We calculate this for you, but we also help you and give you the input so you can also go with a third party and calculate yourself. But the best thing of this is that the banks are also taking this into account. So you can use it in your financial model. So at the end, it's not that easy to validate, but if you work with us, it's easier and we can help you to do so.
Is there a single lesson that you learned from your global experience that you could share, maybe with the local market? And what would be the reason why maybe trackers are not, they don't have wider adoption in Romania?
Like I said before, the biggest reason is just lack of education. So one of the biggest things that we're doing is educating our clients on this. There are a lot of clients that they tell you, I'm not going to bother you until we are in the latest phase of the project. We know that you're busy. We know that the industry needs to be educated. If you want to reach us in the beginning of the project, even if the project is going to be done in 3 years, we're going to help you realize this. So best thing is just people is scared of just changing to a new technology. I think it's the best. But also you were asking me about the biggest lessons, So it's not about fixed versus fixed tilt. So one of the biggest lessons that we can tell you, the rest of the global markets, they have had to learn the very hard way that the owners need to get involved. So we're saying that the tracker is a financial asset. It's your financial asset. I'm talking to the developers and owners, you know, in the room. So if you do not get involved, if you are letting only the EPC make this decision, if it's a good EPC, of course, they're gonna use a good quality, etc. But the one that actually has to make sure that you're gonna have the best optimization and production every day of the year, it's you. So you need to get involved. And then there's also the quality issue. Again, all the other markets, I'm talking about LATAM, I'm talking about in Europe, they have learned in a very difficult way that when you get a low quality tracker supplier, when you're not working with NexTracker, things happen. You know, maybe things are not calculated properly, and then with very high wind, but a wind that should have calculated, things happen in your, you know, in your property. Maybe the corrosion is not well calculated. So that's another lesson. So I told you that last year we became #1 in Europe. Why this didn't happen before? Because years ago, if you went to a client, they would say, no, it's too expensive. And actually, we're very competitive. I'm not saying that we're an expensive tracker. We're not the cheapest one, though. So in the beginning, you would have clients saying, okay, no, just get the cheaper one, or they would be pushing the EPC only to get a low EPC price, and you go and choose the tracker. But nowadays, we became the #1 in Europe because the clients realized that they need the best quality, they need reliability, you know, and they know that they can have that with us. So don't wait, don't learn it the hard way. You can start from now, doing everything the right way. There are some things, yes, that I wanted to explain. So first, I think most of you know that NexTracker is an American company. I know from experience, I've been in other suppliers before, and I know that a lot of the people in Europe kind of mistrust suppliers that are not European because they think that they're gonna get like delay support, not localized. I've been so surprised about the best class support that really NexTracker has. Our HQ in Europe is in Spain. We have mirrored exactly all the different positions that you can find in the US in Europe. So you get construction support in Europe, you get commissioning support in Europe, you get any kind of technical assistance, logistics are done here. We have also the possibility of supplying some of the parts of the tracker also from Spain. So I think one of the best things about working with NexTracker is that we don't see our clients as clients. We actually work with partners. We try, for example, to maintain the same project engineer with the same client. We build a very strong relationship with our clients, and they repeat and repeat with us. And one of the main reasons for that is because the level of support that we're actually giving them. And so another thing that I wanted to explain is that in all the phases of the project and in all the aspects of the project, you're going to find different things where NexTracker can get you a better production, lower O&M. So we can talk one-on-one. All of this is validated by third parties. And I think you will also be surprised. And so this is just a fun fact. We were yesterday with an EPC company in a meeting. And one of the things that it was really nice to hear was when they said, you know, first I have to congratulate you because all of our clients want to work with you. So that's very difficult to get.